Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Modern Horizons 3, which is the flashback draft format for this week. It is also a little bit of practice for the Arena Direct this weekend. For some kind of licensing reasons, probably they're not doing an Arena Direct for Through the Omen Paths or the Spider-Man set. Instead, we have a flashback Arena Direct of Modern Horizons 3 Sealed. So while the drafting process here is just going to be for fun, we can get some experience and some practice within the gameplay itself that should translate over well to when we're playing Sealed. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one. Pick one here. This is a really weak pack overall. We have some decent decent uncommons in different colors, but that rare's pretty bad, really hard to cast, and doesn't give you too much value in a draft environment. So I'll just take the really good draw spell there of the Deep Analysis to start us off. Pick number 2. Yeah, I mean, again, there are reasonable commons and uncommons like Ether Spike and Riddlegate Gargoyle here. But in terms of Modern Horizons set power levels, these first couple packs have been a pretty disappointing return to the set. The strongest archetypes, plural, I should say, were the Eldrazi decks in the set. For sure, it has one of the strongest commons ever printed by draft standards with like Writhing Chrysalis. We've not seen anything good towards those kinds of strategies. Energy decks can be fine too, though, and the Riddlegate Gargoyle is pretty good for that kind of stuff, so we can scoop that up here. Pick number 3 is a pretty interesting one now. This pack, I think, is my favorite we've seen so far. Excellent cheap removal. Galvanic Discharge and Wither and Bloom. I like both of these cards better than our first two picks, but there's also even better uncommons here. The Royal Cartographer, potential card draw engine for an energy deck, but even by itself, eventually you can theoretically get to the 6 energy. I mean, if you get that ability off just once, you draw 3 cards, which is huge. And then there's the Scurry of Gremlins for the more aggressive energy decks, an excellent finisher buffing the whole board and getting haste damage in. We have started with 2 blue spells in a row, so I think we lean towards the blue energy payoff of the Royal Cartographer for the grindier blue-white energy decks as a huge draw spell in the late game over the more quick, aggressive kind of Scurry of Gremlins card in red there, seeing as, again, all 3 of our cards are now in this one color, so we can kind of lock in on that, and that looks pretty good here as pick 4. Both of the best cards in this pack are blue again. Demon Inferior for solid interaction, and Emrakul's Messenger for really efficient flyer. 2 mana, 2/1. Can spit out some Eldrazi spawn as well. If we get any card draw going. I think I'll take the Emrakul's Messenger here. In my experience throughout Modern Horizons 3, Demon Inferior was just quite underrated. It is probably better than Emrakul's Messenger by a little bit, but you tend to see it a lot later in the draft pods if blue is even a little bit open. So I'll take the Messenger first. I think we can often get those Demon Inferiors later than this. Second copy of Riddlegate Gargoyle gives us a really clear path to take here, locking in on our blue-white energy, flyers, and lifelinkers and stuff. Voltstorm Angel's good as well, but you have far less room for 5 mana creatures than 2 mana creatures. So I think I'd rather double up on the Riddlegates first than take the Volt Storm. This is another very good pack. This is, again, why I was disappointed by those first 2 packs. Again, they probably didn't look too bad if you haven't played Modern Horizons 3 in a while, but seeing like pick 5s, they're like, ooh, Wither and Bloom, and Volt Storm Angel and stuff. You can see that these packs are pretty dang juiced even later on, like Consuming Corruption here. But for the path we're taking, it's between Jolted Awake and Izzet Generatorium. I mean, if we manage to get like 5 excellent 2-drops, like 3 Riddlegate Gargoyles and 2 Royal Cartographers or something like that, Jolted Awake could be playable. You can always cycle it when you don't need it. I'd rather do that than try to splash around for an Izzet Generatorium. Tranquil Landscape could be okay as well. Say Evolving Wilds or Terramorphic Expanse for our 2 colors. We can grab an island or plains when we sack it. And if we randomly get a good green card, we could splash that in. Another Jolted Awake. Black is very open in this pod. I mean, outside of Riddlegate Gargoyle, The only other like great white card we saw was the Voltstorm Angel. So seeing great black go this late and the white start to vanish, I probably should speculate. I mean, a second Jolted Awake is very unlikely to get played, even if we are that dedicated like blue-white energy deck. Probably only running like one of these. So we'll speculate on the blue-black control-y kind of card draw style strategy, if that's a lot more open. So take the Consuming Corruption there. Because again, we can't take getting a bunch of like Riddlegate Gargoyles as a sign that white is open, because they could just be in the other white decks. There could be Boros drafters and Selesnya drafters, be Orzhov drafters, just the other white decks than specifically blue-white. Shapeshifter is filler enough that I'm just going to speculate on a random black spell here again, as a color that has looked like the most open. Pick 9 Tempest Harvester is fine. Little Looter, draw and discard. Turn over turn. Vampire and Unicorn are also fine filler. Just a bunch of comparable filler 2-mana plays. We'll take the most synergistic and the most on color of them. And yeah, here's pick 10. Basically every black spell that was in this pack is still here, as far as I remember. We'll take a Cursed Marauder. This has some pretty nice synergies in the blue-black strategy. The blue-black Signpost Common is a card that can keep coming back from your grave whenever you draw, I believe, 3 or more cards in one turn. So if you cast a Deep Analysis, that would bring it back. It's called Sneaky Snacker. 2 mana, 2/1 flyer, comes back every time you draw 3. And this card's a life drainer whenever you're drawn 3 or more in a turn. So again, Deep Analysis, great synergy for that archetype. Gets you 2 turns of triggers for that. Back to pick 1. Volatile Storm Drake. I mean, if you cast this on turn 2 when they don't have a creature on board and just get a 2 mana 3/2 flying hexproof from abilities, pretty great. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think there's anything just like base level powerful in that pack, so we'll take the weird card. Try the Volatile Storm Drake here. We've got enough energy production, we could try like stealing a good bomb or something like that. Breather Last looks like an excellent black removal spell, and again, black did seem to be one of the more open colors. Could probably splash this thing in though. Some from the bonus sheet. A 1/1 for each time. Each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game? Okay. Oh, and my land creatures get buffed? Whoa. Yeah, we're not going to splash that in. Scurrilous Sentry is really nice for the blue-black deck as well. Turns into a really good finisher over time. It just sits there and gets bigger and bigger as you're drawing and discarding. Keeps putting counters on itself. It's got Menace, so it's hard to block. Does that whole theme of drawing extra cards, getting you towards triggering all of your draw 3 in a turn stuff. Very good with our Emrakul's Messenger. That one only needs to draw a second card. So just off of the 1 Scurrilous Sentry trigger, we'll get a creature off of Emrakul's Messenger each time. Hopebender, Quaddle, and Brain Surge are both very nice. I think I'm going to go for the Quaddle here. If we get lucky and we flash this out and counter a spell with it, it's just an absurdly powerful swing in your favor. Flashing in a 2/2 flyer, stopping their like 4-drop. Usually backbreaking and potentially game ending. Pick 5 Writhing Chrysalis. That's not correct. That's the strongest a common has ever been in draft on Arena. It is stronger than the vast majority of rares and even mythics in the set by win rate. But there is a literal 0% chance that we can play that card because we're the blue-black drafter. Like if we were green, white, or blue-green or something, like we would splash it. That's how strong that thing is. But instead, we do get a really good synergy piece for this deck, so at least there's that. But somebody gets a pick 6 Writhing Chrysalis now, which is absurd. So here's the Sneaky Snacker, which is that build around common we were talking about. That'd be really nice for this deck. Speaking of really nice for this deck, perfect deep analysis strategy. I don't mind another copy. We really don't have anything to reanimate with Victimize. Let's just go for Wormcoil Larva. Just good stats for the cost. 3/3 Death Touch Lifelink, and then get 3 power and toughness worth of stats spread across 2 little tokens afterward. Petrifying Meddler for the top of the curve, get some stunning, get a really big blocker does seem nice, but I really love the Kami synergy we have going here too, so I wouldn't mind a second copy of that. I think I could use more top end, like really sturdy roadblocks to stabilize that late game though, so I'll take that Meddler, but if we find another copy or 2 of Kami of Jealous Thirst, I think this would be a solid deck for it. I don't think we're playing anything here. We're certainly not playing Arcbound Condor. So I guess we take Specimen. Suppose I can play this over an island. I guess. I'll just rare draft this thing. I don't think Tamio Meets the Story Circle does anything. Another Trawler. Yeah, we got a bunch of random filler we can replace a land or 2 with. Hey, let's go. Got a second Kami of Jealous Thirst, which is going to be beautiful when we're casting Deep Analysis and getting free triggers off of it. Transmogrant is not awful when we have the Accursed Marauder in this deck, and if we get more copies of it. Alright, this pick should be pretty self-explanatory. Powerful Signpost uncommon for our color pair. Grab it. Yep, better than Etch Slith or Buried Alive. There's a frustrating amount of main deckable graveyard hate in the set, so I have never really liked the reanimation strategies, like trying to go on all in on like Buried Alive, because there's commons that people are just going to be running, like Thraben Charm, that are like already a removal spell against regular cards, like it can already blow up creatures or enchantments, but also just so happens to have a third mode that'll exile your whole graveyard in response to you trying to reanimate something. So I felt the reanimator strategies kind of got hosed in this set, which was sad. Another Petrifying Meddler here probably. We seem to be much more of a Petrifying Meddler big late game stabilized kind of strategy than an Etched Slith curve out kind of deck. Literally nothing on color here, but we have 23 non-land cards, so we've got a deck at worst. Just take a random landscape in case we want to splash white or red. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Open color pair is open. Get the best rare in our color pair. Pick 4 here. Beautiful, beautiful card. If you have not seen Psychic Frog in action before, this card is absolutely phenomenal. Super, super hard to block it because you're threatening to just discard some cards and eat whatever they blocked it with. And also just jump it into the sky once your graveyard gets full. This card is really, really good. Might actually go Serum Visionary here over the second Wormcoil. We've got 3 5-drops here. This is really good. In the middle of the curve, scry 2, draw 1. Yeah, I'll go for the Serum Visionary. Got an Ether Spike. Counter unless they pay 2 at worst. Or a third Tempest Harvester. Or like a Slith here. Go for the Ether Spike. Gravedigg, I guess. It's also like a literal Gravedigger, but Gravedigger's kind of an insignificant stat line by Modern Horizon set Saturns. Here's another Scurrilous Sentry that's solid for us. Am I going to play 3 Kami of Jealous Thirst? Probably not, but it's the only thing that I might. Really don't care about a wave breaker or a sage. Cephalid Call seems cute. I feel like taking a damage every single time we ever tap it. Probably not worth the threshold ability. If this could tap for colorless without pinging you, I think it would probably be playable in draft, but I think that life payment is just a bit too high of a cost. All right, I don't mind picking up that second Accursed Marauder here because we're not the highest on removal. We have 3 pieces of interaction. 1 counterspell, 2 removal spells. So the double Accursed Marauder as sacrifice cards to add to the interaction does feel pretty important for this strategy. All right, here's 3 land creatures. Just cut these at 17 lands and expect to play these pretty much always as lands. If we have one of these in our opener, let's say we have a 3 land opener, and I've got a 5-drop in hand. Right, so I've got 3 basics, this, and a 5-drop. I think these are weak enough as spells that in those kind of scenarios, I would still just play this turn 1 as a tap land immediately. So we just really need to treat these as primarily lands and basically only cast them as spells if we just top deck them in the late game. And because of that, if we cut them 1 for 1 for spells, we're essentially a 17 land deck still. But expect to always play those as lands. So 3 more cuts. We have double Marauder now. So I really don't mind the Transmigrant, which would normally be one of the first cuts. I don't have a lot of other energy stuff, but Cartographer still feels solid here. Because again, it only has to pop off the 1 time to be insane, so if nothing else, they kind of have to kill it at some point. A little bit more energy with some Tempest Harvesters, but those are good by themselves. They still seem to be our other weakest 2 drops just because of all the other ones being so good. These are just lands, so don't worry about those. Probably don't need triple Kami, as cute as they are. Alright, so 3 cuts, some combination of these 3. I'll just go 1 of each on Harvester and Kami. Keep the Cartographer in for now. This looks fine to me. Nice little blue-black deck. Certainly not the perfect one. It's not going to be like the incredible definite 7-0 return to Modern Horizons 3 or anything. But we've got some really, really strong cards here. Obviously, getting that Psychic Frog in the last pack passed to us really late was great. But that is the kind of reward you can get when you find the open color pair. The biggest issue that we have is that black did end up becoming kind of contested later in the draft to where we did not get enough removal. Also, surprisingly, I think this draft pod was somewhat experienced at playing this format because the blue removal was actually scooped up pretty heavily. I forgot its name, but we passed on it early. It was the blue and 3 to bounce something back to the 2nd or 3rd card of their library, something like that. And it costs 1 less for each card you've drawn this turn, so it's 3 mana at most. And like if you attack with Sentry or something, it's only 2 mana. That card's quite good, but I was used to that card going really late, so I took something else over it. I don't remember what that was. I think it was like a Gargoyle or something when we were still thinking about going blue-white. And the fact that came back to bite us pretty bad because even that was not going late at all. So that's the biggest flaw of the deck. There was not a lot of removal getting passed around. So we're low on interaction, but we have double a Cursed Marauder trying to help fill that out a little bit, as well as sort of a Storm Drake, I guess. I don't know. That probably doesn't really count as much as the Accursed Marauders do. We've got Meddlers to slow our opponent down as well, so it's not like we are completely out of luck on the removal and interaction front, but that is certainly going to be our biggest weakness, so we'll have to see how that plays out for us. But without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay, see how far this deck can take us. Alright, awkward opener, that's for sure. With no black source. I still want to keep it. If Harvester survives here, it's still going to be great. We can Harvester away the Transmigrant while we dig for black sources, and as soon as we hit one, the Shadow Spinner potentially digs even farther. Drawn to the Psychic Frog normally would be an incredible draw, but without the black source for it, it is awkward. The last thing we want to be drawing right now is more black spells. Oh, 3 toughness blocker for Harvester. Alright, luckily we aren't attacking with it anyway. We are digging for mana. That is another black spell off the top, but there is the black source. Ditch the Transmigrant here. I believe we want to be mana efficient, just play Shadow Spinner over Psychic Frog. It's close. Probably Shadow Spinner. Like, this is a good enough card with that lifelink, with that triggered ability on the attacks, that it'll draw removal from our opponent if they have it. And we get to be mana efficient for the turn, and drawing removal is good for us when we have a Psychic Frog in the hand too. Oh my god, maybe not so good for us when they have Blage, Titan of Fire's Fury. Yeah, Modern Horizons draft formats are always insane because you are going to be playing against literal, like, modern all-stars. Format all-stars of constructed formats. I mean, we've got one of our own, Psychic Frog, very playable and constructed. But it can be painful for sure. So they can't escape that till they have 5 other cards in their grave, and they're Boros, so they can't really self-mill for that. That's going to have to wait till pretty late. I could just hold up the Quaddle here, but I could also just run out the Psychic Frog and hope for the best. I don't mind running out the Psychic Frog, because this ability is instant speed, right? So whenever I hit my 4th land, I could hold up the Quaddle and use Transmigrant if I don't get it. I guess I should just activate Harvester right now. And if it's the 4th land, then we just hold here. Yeah. It is the 4th land. So let's drop... Probably too late for Cartographer at this point. Now I get to hold up the counterspell and have a backup plan if I don't cast it, and then have a good card to sack the Marauder when we go for that. Bestow, collect evidence 6, and it can cast from the grave for its bestow. All right, well, we still gotta counter that. But that also can come back from grave in theory. They need 6 other mana value of cards to do so. They have 3 right now. Okay. Another Swamp for Consuming Corruption. Don't hate it. And then... It's only 2 damage Consuming Corruption right now. To really hold that up over just playing Psychic Frog. I mean, I guess I can play both, so might as well do that. I'm definitely not going to Curse Marauder here. Forgot about Consuming Corruption. I ended up running 8 islands, 6 swamps, because we have 2 of these Boggart Trawlers. When we have Consuming Corruption in the deck, I might want to actually cut these Boggart Trawlers and just make them swamps at that point. Because again, 9 times out of 10, we are just playing them as lands anyway. And obviously swamps are way better than non-basic black sources when we have a Consuming Corruption in hand. So I think I actually probably will go back to the drawing board in between rounds. Just get a little bit of value here. Just a 3/3. I mean, still don't mind the tempo. They could bestow onto one of our creatures with Detective's Phoenix. Alright, the only thing we're worried about is Flage, and they still are a card away from that. Just kill them before Flage here. Ooh, Exert for haste. Haste lifelink. Yeah, I'm one swamp from killing that. It's gonna come back to bite us pretty bad that we didn't have the swamp over the bog here. Although it's worth noting that if I did kill that, they'd be able to cast Flage next turn, which would be very bad for me. I'm gonna cast it this way so I can flashback here instead of playing Corruption, because if I hit the swamp, then I can also play Corruption and have either option. Okay. 9 life. Oh, this thing's exerted. Okay, they can't haste out another creature next turn anyway. We just jam then. I was gonna think if we should hold something back to not die to like a big haster. But it'd have to be a 4-mana haste creature with 6 power. Because the Arena of Glory is not available to give something else haste. I guess the Phoenix is available if they have a 3-mana 4-power creature. Okay, no, they're just gonna buff the lifelinker, so we can blow that up. Double strike though? Wow. Oh, I guess it's not double strike, but double power. Yeah, they got us. They would have had us no matter what though, because we didn't have enough damage from Consuming Corruption to kill the earlier. I guess I could have gained the life. Yeah, no, if we held Corruption up, we could have been fine. Because the life gain would have kept us out of reach. Plus, we wouldn't have paid the life there. Alright, bummer. Yeah, I'm gonna get got by just double power. Extra 5 damage out of nowhere. Alright. Rough ending there. 0-1 heading into game 2. Changed my mind. I would rather be able to put a counter on this frog without really discarding a card than just have a 1/1 out here. Especially against red. We want to buff this to high enough toughness to dodge any red removal. They have to get off-color removal off Transformer instead. Of course! Bummer. Well, we got a bajillion pieces of card draw off of Double Deep Analysis here. Plane Cycle Angel of the Ruins. Most controlling Boros deck I've seen. 7 drop. The life gain removal spell. I don't think I can afford to hold up Aether Spike over a draw 2 here when I have nothing else to do with my mana at instant speed yet. Be holding up a single spike. It wouldn't even be like, you know, play a 2-drop, hold up a spike. Which now I can do. Now I can Marauder the Skyclaw and hold up spike. That's a perfectly reasonable turn at that point. Yeah, especially if we're gonna stack a bunch of eggs in this one basket. This is a really good card, though, to where, like, it doesn't really feel like stacking all your eggs in one basket because even if that creature does die, you get the 1/1 flyer back out of it and the spirit token itself. So that's not bad for our opponent. They just get a wide board now. It's really good against our 2/1s. I'm not so sure counter, unless they pay 4, is going to work now, because they just have all mana still. She's just going to keep playing lands indefinitely. But at least Aether Spike will give us 2 more energy towards Cartographer being huge. That's kind of cool, too. Play Cartographer, play a land, and use Transmigrant here. Okay, we're theoretically very favored. Right, because we have 6 pieces of cards. Or we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're just playing off the top right now. That's not to mention Royal Cartographer's possible card draw. Also ahead on board here. We're down to 8. Gives them a 1/1 chumper each turn. Eight of those spawn die, then they get an Annihilator, Eldrazi. Take a long time. I forgot to swap the Boggart Trawlers out for Swamps. I really need to do that. I feel like Aether Spike might be bad enough to drop here. I mean, it'd have to be an expensive spell to counter, like a 6-drop, 7-drop. When they have the Idol of False Gods now getting activated every turn. Yeah, we'll ditch the Spike. They're at 8. Block, take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually send the whole team in here. Alright, they have a chump. Still feels worth it. Kill a 1/1 flyer. Alright. We could also pay the 3 and cast a deep analysis for 4 here. That's also fine. But opponent at 1 life, make a big old board here. If they board wipe us, fine, I'll draw 6 cards and win off of those instead. Sweet Jesus. I think we beat Kozilek here. It's not something you can say often. Yeah, we do beat Kozilek there. They just immediately conceded. I didn't even remember how Kozilek worked. So that's why I was just stunned just looking at it for a second there. Because I was gonna say, I thought they manifest 2 cards. They can manifest 2 cards, but I don't think they had enough cards in hand to do that. Yeah, because you manifest 2 from your hand, and for each card manifested, you draw a card. They all get +3/+2, so they're 5 4s, a 9 9 and 2 5 4s, and a draw 2. Yeah, really good card, but we just had too much stuff on board, so they were still dead there. 1-1 it is, heading into game 3. We have had Psychic Frog in our opening hand every game, which is wild. Well, not opening hand, but we've had it every game. I think one of the games we drew into it. Mandibular Kite, another white-based aggro deck. Go Lightning Rod the removal, my friend. They get 3 energy. So, if I discard 2 cards, then they just get 3 energy, and then they spend another removal on this. So I'm 2 for 1ing myself, right? I'm ditching 2 cards in hand for their 1 discharge worth of value, essentially. Then if they have the second removal spell, then we spent 3 cards. We spent Frog and 2 cards in hand for their 2 cards, discharge plus the other removal. I feel like Frog is so powerful, it's still worth it to do that. Discard a 5-drop and a land here. But the awkward part about Galvanic Discharge, and part of what makes it so strong, is if your opponent ever has a trick to save their creature from it, you could just keep all the energy. You don't have to choose how much damage you're doing until it resolves. Luckily, they did not have the second removal spell yet. They're going to chump the Frog to stop us from drawing a card. Looks to be the case, which is fine by us. Because while it's not drawing a card, it's killing a card worth of value. I wouldn't even mind like corrupting the germ and forcing the chump with Zealot, but it's probably better to save corruption. Just eat the germ here is fine too. Can only stun one of these each turn. Not exactly stun, but yeah. Bajillion chump blockers off of a Glimpse the Impossible. Have to start flying the Frog in. If we get through the Zealot, which we'll need another black source to do. If we don't get through the Zealot, then doesn't even matter if we give the Frog flying. That is not a black source. Sadness on the stack. Go to combat, gain some Shadow Spinner life after a draw. Actually, if they're just going to chump here, it might be better for them to tap the Shadow Spinner so that we don't get the attack trigger. If they're not going to chump and they're just going to take the damage, then this is definitely the better tap. Each player sacks a non-token creature, so Marauder will kill Zealot. So that is definitely the play. I think I get rid of Corruption at this point. Play Messenger and Marauder. I have to go land in these two, so it has to be one of these two as the discard. Could really use this Surveil 2, draw 1, or Scry 2, draw 1. Okay, they're gonna let it through there. That Zealot off the board, please. Now I got my 3 cards in grave. I got 5 now. Skoa Ember Mage. Kill the Shadow Spinner. Six cards in grave. Let's guarantee the draw here, because the draw also gives the messenger the token production. And then see what we want to do based on what we draw. Sneaky Snacker. Not cheap enough to double spell. I mean, I guess I can Snacker and Visionary if I sack this spawn. It's not crazy to do. Sure. Deep Analysis. Suppose I actually prefer holding up Breathe Your Last here. Can blow up a flyer in the end step to keep our creatures getting in. Oh yeah, especially if that becomes the flyer. Sneaky Snacker combo with Psychic Frog next turn. Discard it to the Frog and then draw 2 off Deep Analysis. That'll be 3 cards drawn in 1 turn, and we'll cast the Snacker for free while having drawn extra cards at the same time. See if anything we draw affects combat. I probably should have held the blue up for flashback if we wanted that. And this affects combat, so jam in. Alright, there's the concession from our opponent. Psychic Frog's just fully popping off, so that's just gonna be game. I was gonna go ahead and exile a few cards from grave to get Psychic Frog the guaranteed card draw again that turn. I think that's basically always worth it to just keep digging. All right, beautiful stuff from Psychic Frog. We move on to game number 4. See if we can't win a game of Magic without it here. We are 2-1 heading into game number 4. Great control hand. Consuming Corruption and Breathe Your Last early. We might finally be against the Eldrazi Menace, though, starting green. Oh, yeah. We are against best deck in set. Most effective tactic available. And I'm terrified. They have a 1 green mana trick to stop that, too. Jesus, and it makes another spawn? Oh, the Devoid, or the Adapt only works if it doesn't have a counter on it. Okay. That was still kind of a blowout for us. I mean, I guess we traded a Consuming Corruption for a Gift from the Viper. If the way that it worked was that they would get another counter and another spawn, then that would have been a complete blowout, but you know how it is. They don't have the Writhing Chrysalis. That's a chance. I think I need to deep analysis here, so since they didn't play a better creature, I kind of do need to just blow up whatever is the best creature on their current board. Untap and draw 2. What the heck? Just all combat tricks, no creatures hand? That's a good draw. That's better than deep analysis here. We gotta slow that one creature down, I guess. I'm terrified though. They had no creatures they could cast for like 5 mana. So it must be some huge Eldrazi or just like all combat tricks or something weird. It's huge Eldrazi. Well, that's what Death Touchers are for. And even if they blow up the Death Toucher, it comes with a backup one. As long as they don't exile it. Trample is astronomically bad for me. It's a solid draw. It's really good with Snacker, too. I can resurrect the Snacker next turn off of deep analysis. Okay. Just go with the other Death Toucher. But any creatures they play getting +6/+6 trample makes even 1/1s insane threats, so in a terrifying spot. Alright, come on, any land off the top, please. Thank you. Ooh, Psychic Frog. I gotta lead with Death Touch here. It's Death Touch plus Life Drain. Yoink. Yoink. Back up to 15. Ooh, no equip. We take those, keep the Kami around, get another piece of Life Drain next turn. Okay. Messenger, lose a couple. Okay, they're already over it. We play Messenger, play the analysis. We lose a couple life, but then gain a couple life, plus get another spawn token. Got some damage in the sky, got some lifelink off the swing, some life drain off the Kami. Got the Death Toucher for whichever they equip. And then I even play a Psychic Frog when that all wraps up. Yeah. Alright. Very terrified early on, but we were lucky that they did not have a very aggressive follow-through to go with the Brood Scale. They had that one threat until they had 7 mana. So, luckily a slower start from the really scary Eldrazi deck there lets us have all the time we need to stabilize and turn things around with great cards like Wormcoil Larva. Yeah, I wanted to get a win without Psychic Frog, and I did draw Psychic Frog in the end, but technically we won without casting it, so I'll take it. That is 3-1, at least a 50-50 average record for the return to Modern Horizons 3, and we'll see if we can't do any better than that as we head into game number 5. Game 5 on the draw. Mandibular Kite, some more white-based aggro. Should probably always lead with swamps in this deck because we have a good double black 2-drop removal spell. Boros deck number... what, number 3 today? Under enough pressure to trade Marauder for the Menace here. Solstice Zealot. 2/3 tapper. If we run out our Death Toucher, that can't attack in. If I run out Serum Visionary, I do get to set up my draws, but then they could just attack both. And we already drew our land for turn 4, which is the most important card to have in hand. Make sure we don't miss a land drop. If I didn't have a 4th land in the hand, I might still go Visionary over Kami there. Okay, they got the Static Prison for the Kami. This is a great, great tempo curve from our opponent. Do I have any relevant 1-mana plays? I have one retrofitted Transmigrant, that's a black spell. I guess I've got a land of either color, so I could just Serum Visionary and see what I draw. Yeah, Visionary is good enough to cast now because it holds Inventor off, so it stops 2 damage either way, either trading there or by having the Zealot tap it. I need immediate impact right now, so I need the Ether Spike first. I mean, actually, I don't think it really matters right now, because I'm just going to play Meddler next turn no matter what, and then I'm going to play Meddler again the turn after that. But after 2 turns of doing that, I'll have 6 lands out on board and a 3-drop Breathe Your Last. So I could go Breathe Your Last, hold up Ether Spike, and then I can Deep Analysis after that. Yeah, I can draw these cards, and they are going to be helpful. After double Meddler. Jesus. Now the one-sided Pyroclasm from Rallen the Implicit Maze that even makes a creature at the end of it. This card's a great, great, great saga. Just on the Zealot to actually block with this Meddler. Discard a card, draw 2, find double spell, Conduit Goblin and Glimpse the Impossible. And then find triple spell off Glimpse the Impossible, including 1-mana removal for Meddler. Just perfect draws there this turn. A couple of these are just going to turn into Eldrazi spawns, but that's fine when they find the removal off Glimpse. What a turn. Yep. Put me to 4. And then I'm dead to anything off the top. Oh, I'm just dead. Because they can still play Conduit Goblin? Because that was off of the Implicit Maze. I do not have a way to not die here. Because I can Meddler and stun that. I can block one of these, take 2 from the other, but Conduit Goblin can just give itself haste. Oh, no it can't. Oh my god, okay. No, I'm still dead because it can give this spell, Gorge or Weird Haste. Yeah, I don't have a way to not die to that. We just needed to be on the play, and then we probably have barely enough time. But those were some really, really good draws for the follow through in the end. And obviously, like the 3-for-1 there. Blow up my blocker, then draw 2. And then also get the threat they need to haste out and find lethal the turn after. Brutal. All right, that is 3-2 heading to game 6. All right, here we are on the play for game 6. Another red-white deck, red-white-green landscape there. It could be red-green Eldrazi, because these are also colorless sources for your Eldrazi spells. I'm not going to Marauder if they don't have any creatures on board, so let's just play the tap land. I'm trying to get to 5 mana with this hand. Ooh. Red, green, white, blue, black. Some 5-color shenanigans, potentially. If this Emrakul's Messenger sticks around, it'll be very nice, because we have the Sentry coming up. But they've got the counterspell for it, that's fine too. 1-for-1 trade. 2-drop for their 2-drop. Blue, red, and white. Would you like to counter a Squirreless Sentry as well? I don't got anything else to play here. Sure. Solstice Zealot. 4th blue source. Would have much preferred to drop Wormcoil Larva this turn, but Meddler is still a reasonable play. Yeah, we've got the Static Prison for the Meddler. It's fine, that'll sit there soaking up some energy from them. And a Void Pouncer for a 3-1. Another Void Pouncer. Not sure exactly what their deck is. 5th blue source, Wormcoil Larva in shambles. I guess their deck is just multicolored good stuff. But these are just like random filler commons for very disparate archetypes. Demon Fear is much better than filler. Meddler is still a really good draw. So I'll keep it. Triple Void Bouncer. Oh. I'm gonna die because I can't cast my Larva. Larva would absolutely just demolish this board, because it trades into one of these and it gives me 2 tokens that trade into the other 2 at 3 for one of them. I literally have no other play but to Marauder a single Void Pouncer and then take 8. I think when I just had Wormcoil Larva in hand, when my hand looked like this, keeping that Meddler second from the top was worth it, because it stops all their damage. But when the top deck is another double black spell, it obviously looks pretty awful. Sit down, Zealot. I need to block. Opponent is playing off the top. Can't be a good sign. Just top deck lethal. Nope, they're just trying to get multi-turn lethal. We've drawn every double black spell in the whole deck. Okay. Well, what can you do? Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that's not quite frustrating, but that is Magic. Such is the way. Another look at the deck here. We're on a 9-8 split. Yeah, I mean, that was just a really unlucky ending to this draft. Our first loss was debatably user error. I mean, it was certainly winnable if we played differently. The question is, like, without the information of what our opponent has in hand, do we really play around? Do we really play around them doubling a creature's power there? Going from hitting for 5 to hitting for, like, I don't even remember, 10 or 11 or something like that. Obviously, if we did, we would have won that game. So the game was winnable. That is 100% for sure. And then had we won that, we'd be 4-2 right now. Chance of taking it farther with further games. Yeah, I didn't mind this deck at all. I thought it was perfectly capable of winning games without the Psychic Frog as well. I think it was a pretty good deck. Drafted it pretty decently. A little bit low on interaction, but we did make up for that with our double Marauder and our double Meddler, managing to slow things down and be a really good blocker in the end game. So, again, it has some issues with that lack of removal. I don't think the mana base was a particularly big issue. A 9-8 split with some double blacks is a little bit awkward, obviously, as we saw in that very last game of Magic, but I think we got extra hosed by that. Again, it's a 15-12 in Blue's favor. Maybe we're supposed to be 8 blue, 9 black, because even though we have a decent bit more blue than black, we have double blacks, we don't have double blues. So maybe there's that as well. Maybe we're supposed to be on 9-8 like that. But that was overall just unlucky in that last game of Magic. Yeah, 3-3. I mean, we'll take it. Perfectly average return to Modern Horizons. This deck wasn't astronomically special or anything. It's not the perfect blue-black deck. But I do think that it was certainly capable of going farther than this. Had we played perfectly, had we known what our opponent had in game 1, we would have been 4-2 right now. Had we drawn a single swamp all game in the final game of Magic, we also would have been 4-2 right now. And who knows where it goes from there. Could have easily gotten into some good matchups and taken it a little farther, but we'll take it. 3-3 will be the return to Modern Horizons 3. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.